Hey, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us for another What the Fuck Friday.
What the fuck?
I know. And this is the last episode of the season / last episode for over a year, I think. I think this is going to be the last one until, I don't know if we'll bring it back in January of 2022 or whatnot. That's way too far ahead.
It'll come back at some point.
It will. It definitely will. But we are taking a break to focus on many of the other things that we have planned for you guys. So don't worry. You will still get content. It's just not going to be What the Fuck Friday for a little bit.
Right. And you'll always have the monkey.
We will always have Indie Film Cafe with the monkey. So don't you guys worry about that. But to do the final episode, I decided to bring my co-host here, Paul A. Presenza. How you doing, Paul?
How's it going, everybody? Moo.
Oh, we're doing Moveless.
Yay.
Today. And today we also have our guest of the evening, Joe Turek. How you doing, Joe?
Doing great. I have to come up with some sort of catch line as well. I don't have the
Just say that you're terrific.
Wow.
There we go. Terrific. Well, yeah.
Correct.
There we go. That's better than spinning my name a different way and calling it like turkey or something.
You could always say gobble gobble. Paul loves his turkey.
Gobble gobble, motherfucker.
Yeah, which, I mean, Thanksgiving was a movie on Indie Film Cafe, but it was not on What the Fuck Friday, even though it's almost a What the Fuck Friday kind of movie, too.
Just wait, because Thanksgiving 3 could satisfy either one.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to, this time, for the last episode, I decided to do Zombeavers.
Woohoo!
We have reviewed Jordan's second film that he did, The Drone, which was not nearly as good as this one. We've kind of talked about that on the show, so if you want to go to our YouTube, which you're already on right now anyway, but if you want to go back a bunch of episodes back, we have an episode where we talk about The Drone. I think we did that. I forgot who we did that with. It was you, me, and somebody else, right?
I forget, but there were no Zombeavers in The Drone, unfortunately. And had there been like drone Zombeavers, that you could remotely control, that would have been awesome. That would have worked. See,
what made Zombeavers so good, in my opinion, that The Drone failed to do, which it could have done, could have gone the direction that Zombeavers did. And I think maybe that was not Jordan's, thing. I think maybe somebody else who, was in charge of production probably, made him decide to kind of go more mainstream and stuff. And the more mainstream, kind of, the less goofy it is. So that's the problem with that.
Yeah, there was definitely an air of goofiness, and let's just have some fun in this particular film. When you come across a movie called Zombeavers, there are certain expectations that you have. You got to have what John Landis called famously the 3 B's. You got to have your blood, your breasts, and your beasts. Mm-hmm. To make a movie with that kind of a title to be, a really, really good
we got a
film.
And we got a fourth B in this one.
We do. And this film lived up to it. I mean, there was definitely beasts, and there was definitely blood. Maybe not quite as much as boobs as there could have been, but that's okay. It still satisfied it.
It had boobs.
It did have boobs. But yeah, it satisfied all of those things. It was done in a fun, goofy kind of way, and everything really, really worked. I mean, there's a lot of like little plot holes and things that are annoying, but it turns out it doesn't really matter. It's when a movie's kind of like that and it's fun, it's easy to forgive little stuff like that.
So the continuity monkey was taking a little bit of a break during this one?
Yeah.
A little bit of a break, because I didn't notice any continuity in the movie issues. Did you guys notice any?
He's obsessed with Courtney Palm anyway, so he wasn't really paying attention.
He was paying. Oh, let's talk about. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. Actually, I want real quick though. I do want to get Joe's. Joe, you said this is your first time watching this movie. When you watch a movie called Zombeavers, what were you expecting?
Well, any movie I go into with some sort of expectation, just by either what I've seen the previews or what I've read or who's in it, who's directed it, some sort of information. This one, I knew one of the girls that was in it because she was in Dumb and Dumber 2, and then she was also in
Wait.
Days
Which
Are
Dumb and
Alive.
Dumber 2? The Dumb and Dumber 2? Or Dumb and
The one
Dumberer?
the one with Jim Carrey.
Okay, the actual literal second movie, not the prequel crap that they made. That was terrible.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's really the third one, but yeah.
Well, no, it's technically the second because
Aren't they all kind of crap?
Hey, I love Dumb and Dumber #1, and Dumb and Dumber 2 was not terrible. It wasn't nearly as good as the first.
Oh no, yeah.
Hard to beat that.
Yeah, but
yeah.
So I'd seen her in something, but other than that, I really didn't know what the title. I was like, okay, and then I saw the post, a couple of the different stills from it, and I was just like, okay, I got to go into this with a certain set of expectations of it being just fun.
Yeah.
And I'm not going in there expecting Shakespeare or Scorsese directing or anything like that. That's not what this is. This is a movie that's supposed to be.
It would be extremely difficult if they were taking this movie very, very, very seriously and had, logical explanations for the stuff that happens, and they were focusing on acting and drama and character development. No. It's got to be babes and blood and crazy beaver monsters, and that's just fine. That's what we kind of were looking for.
Yeah. So that's what I went into with the expectation for. But I mean, there was a lot of catchy little one-liners throughout it, though. That's sort of, I mean, I guess they sort of made jokes with beaver in any sort of connotation they could. But it had some good laughs in it. So so that was my expectations when I went in.
Yeah, it was, and to my opinion, it was a little bit more slicker made and better written than, say, a Sharknado or a Snakes on the Plane or that kind of thing, where they just don't even bother to disguise the fact that it's just a silly bunch of garbage. They actually still tried to make this a good film. It was shot very well. All the production elements were good. The special effects were very impressive. I remember that was the main thing that I took away from this film the first time I saw it. I was like, those beavers looked pretty damn impressive. And, the violence and all that stuff, that was really, really cool. And all the makeup and all the transformation stuff, that was nicely unexpected.
That was one thing I really like when I was rewatching it today and hadn't seen it for I think it'd been like a year or two or something that I hadn't seen it. What I really dug out of it that I adored was the beavers. The beavers actually looked really good. They were probably animatronic or so. They weren't CGI.
Puppets.
You could
I think they were puppets.
They were definitely puppets because there was one point in the credits where you see, I don't know, did you guys watch it all the way through the whole thing?
Oh, yeah.
Everything. Yeah. And you saw the outtakes where the dog is and then the beavers are coming there, but you can tell they're not really, they're just like puppets, in the water or whatever. And I was like, that's just cute. I hate to say it, it's a cute movie.
You know me, I love my puppets. So anytime you've got ridiculous puppets, I'm gonna love it.
I know.
But I think when you talked about some of the production elements all around the story, though, it actually did give the girls a little bit of arc in what they were trying to do, and then bringing the boyfriends in, and they put a little bit of a story together with them, so it made there was a little bit of interaction that caused some. Just more than just a general passing of a story too. So.
It's funny you mention that, Joe, because typically that's the kind of thing that I would have focused on a lot of, especially independent films, and said, you really need to sort of bring in more character development and more things for these people to do other than just be meat for the grinder. In this particular case, I found I didn't really care. The guys were all kind of jerks and assholes, and I had no interest in them, and the sooner they got eaten, the happier I was. And I found that all that kind of extra stuff was okay, but I didn't really need it. The idea of the girls fighting, you're trying to survive against the zombies, you could have just done the whole movie on that, and I'd have been just as happy.
Exactly.
Well, it made the one guy when he got it in the bathroom at the end.
When he got bit in the dick.
Yeah, from Jen Beaver or whatever, I guess.
When he
When
got
she
his
jumped through
twig
the
nod, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. When she jumped through and stuff like that, I was like, okay. I was like, because I didn't like him at all, and I was like, okay, he's got to get this
So you're
really
saying a
Definitely,
little
through.
poetic justice there.
Oh,
he
absolutely, yeah.
definitely got his wood eaten, in that particular moment. But that was, I mean, and see, like little things like that where they could make jokes and stuff, or kind of do something where you don't necessarily like know it as like they didn't flat out say, but you can make kind of jokes about it, like, oh my God, he
Mhm.
just
Right.
look, his wood just got eaten, or something. It was like well crafted
And
in
I'm
that.
glad that the script went there, because it could have just been about the zombie beavers and it would have been fun. It would have been cool. But they went the extra step with the virus affecting humans and having them sort of be this sort of in between zombie human zombiever nightmare thing, which was awesome. And I like the fact that you couldn't tell which one was going to that was going to happen to until it was too late.
Exactly.
And I think and that also, when the one flipped right there at the end, when the two girls are standing there next to each other, and the one girl pulled the gun on the other. I mean, I was thinking the whole movie along that Rachel Melvin character was the main one, and she turns right at the end, and it was like, okay, the heroine's really the other girl, the one that took her shirt off for a lot of
A
the
loudmouth.
beginning. Yeah,
Which we'll
yeah.
talk about right now, because I've actually interviewed her, and I actually keep in contact with her. I told her today that
Yay.
I was going to be sending her this review when I'm done with it.
Hi,
Um,
Courtney. Courtney. That
Courtney,
Moody Monkey loves you.
yes, she is absolutely a sweetheart in this movie too. Like, I absolutely adored her in it. She was the funny character who, the sexy character, all of that stuff, all wrapped into one. The other characters, I like the other two girls, kind of got annoying at parts, and at least Courtney's character was more fun, than anything. And I was glad that she got switched to being, she didn't survive at the end. She got
I
hit
know,
by the
right?
car, but I think that was
Well,
sort of,
we assume. You don't see it. We assume.
that's true. You don't ever actually see like her body mangled or anything.
Because, from what I understood, there's supposed to be a Zombiever 2.
Uh, well, did you guys watch all the way to the end credits? The fast,
Well,
the
that'd be
fast
well,
end credits?
that'd be zombies or zombies or something. Wouldn't it be?
Zombies, which I think would be amazing. But we did see tsunamis, which
That's right, we did. Oh, dear.
that was terrible. So I'm hoping that if they do a zombies movie, that it is not like that is actually pretty good. But
And
I'm guessing they're not going to, because that was 2014 that they released
yeah, yeah.
Zombeavers, and they haven't done zombies yet.
But there you go. There's an example of a movie that could have been a lot more fun had they sort of taken the same kind of attitude and the same kind of approach that they
That's
did in
Zombeavers.
Zombievers. You know what I
Right.
mean? They could have been a lot more fun, but it just didn't work out, and it just was kind of just dumb. And when that happens, you have little plot holes and character flaws and underwritten parts and all that stuff. All that just gets magnified, and
Uh-huh.
you're not as willing to forgive stuff like that when you see it. It's more like, oh, I'll just enjoy the ride and have fun, and drink a beer and have some popcorn and enjoy Zombievers and babes in bikinis, because that's what this movie's all about.
Yeah, and I saw that this actually had I mean, it looked like a release at a box office too. So I mean, it made not near a couple hundred, or maybe 15, 20,000 or something, some small amount. So this wasn't. I don't know the background of this. Was it? It wasn't like a sci-fi type of movie or anything like that. It was
I don't
made
think
with.
so. I think worldwide it only grossed like $50,000 or something like
Yeah.
that. But on the other hand, and I didn't look to see what kind of a budget it had. I don't know that it had a huge budget. So even 50,000, probably, they probably made some money, I would think. And then, of course, it was on Netflix, so they're going to be getting some royalties from that, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
And it's on
Yeah,
Tubi now, I think.
I think
yeah,
it's on
but
Tubi. It's on Amazon Prime as
yeah, it's
well.
on Prime. That's how I saw it. But I was just like, usually the stuff you see on sci-fi, there's like another one every night or every other night and stuff like that. But this seemed like it had a little bit more of a production elements. Whether it's the opening credits, they had that animation and all, which was really
That
cool.
was, yeah.
That was
Yeah, I
cool. I
mean,
enjoyed that.
And the music was amazing.
oh yeah, they did.
The music was actually done by the two writers. of the
Oh,
film.
okay, that's
So I'm
cool.
wondering if they had like ideas for stuff. There's even a Zombeavers song at the end. So I'm like wondering if a
As
lot
there
of it,
should be.
right. So I'm like wondering if a lot of that was like planned out during like pre-production when they were just making this movie. It was like they were like could be a cool animation that we could do music for. It all was just perfectly done. Period, and planned out.
Yeah, I agree.
And the
Yeah,
two writers.
it had like a sort of a '60s Sinatra type of song type at the end. It was like really it sort of told the story too. So I mean, recap the story, which is kind of
Exactly.
cool.
Which I think was
Yeah.
like, it makes sense that it was written by the guys who co-wrote it with Jordan, who directed the film. Jordan has gone on to do the Critters stuff for
Right.
Shudder, the new
Right.
Critters stuff. So I mean, and he's kind of the perfect, like, I guarantee they saw Zombeavers and Shudder was just like there's perfect guy. He can deal with puppets, well, and little creatures, and everything. I would
Right.
like a Zombeavers TV show like this.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. And it's right, because these guys are seeing it and saying, okay, silly ridiculous title, silly ridiculous puppets, but it worked. So
Exactly.
if you're gonna have something like that, this is the kind of person you want to have involved.
I agree.
Yeah, and I noticed the cameo at the beginning. I didn't notice it was him at the time, but looking in the credits, that John Mayer was in it, and I was just like, whoa. 'Cause, like, he's like, I mean, a singer and has done a lot of music through the years and stuff like that. But I was like, that was him. And I went back in and looked, and I was like, oh yeah, that's him at the beginning and at the end, I guess. The passenger and the drivers.
Which
Right.
one was he? Which one was he?
He was the one with the long hair and the
That is
creepy
funny.
looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
was-
I don't
I
think
love
you
those
see
guys.
the deer. I really don't think you see the deer.
Yeah. No, my favorite bit on that was like him saying he was talking about the gay thing or whatever, and he just looks over him like, well, sounds like that story's got a lot of me in it. And he's like, it doesn't have you in it. There was a one-time thing. Like, I cracked up so hard with those guys. It felt like a Kevin Smith type thing, or something,
I did want to point out, though, this movie did break one of those cardinal rules that we have talked about, which a movie can do every now and again and get away with, but usually not. You don't harm the dog. You don't harm the small furry critter. They did that. They got away with it.
I honestly, okay, so you know me, I'm really big on that. And I was really devastated when he threw the dog back in because I forgot about that. However, I don't know, it just didn't hit me as hard. And I don't know why. Because I thought I was going to be so like upset. I don't know if Lenore would have liked it at all, or would have
No,
been sad.
probably not.
Well,
And I like the fact that the character who owned the dog was very upset and
Yeah.
was giving the guy shit about it.
Yeah. Well, I think this is probably the one point that I agree with Moody on this, and I'd probably even take it a step further. I thought they were a little over the top. It just seemed a little mean the way that they did it. Not just that the character did it, but then they showed the three or two of them just going on top of it, and you saw the blood. It seemed a little overdone, and that's one thing about this that really did.
I was
rub me
hoping that the
wrong.
dog would survive. Like, I hadn't seen it in so long that I was like, "Oh my god, swim!" And then
It is consistent, though, because clearly the in the very beginning the poor deer gets killed, and so there's definitely a level of black humor in there that is there. I mean, because it's not just it gets killed off camera. I mean, you see the entrails and the blood and all that kind of shit, and then maybe those guys are so cavalier about it, like, up, over we go.
well, also, once again, I like the fact that they showed the dog swimming with the two things, and then one of the I think the director or whatever is like, the dog is supposed to look scared, or whatever. And I just thought that was so cute. So in the end, I was okay with that, I guess. Like, it didn't kill me as much, but they did have a really good point in the scene where the guy said, if it's between us or the dog, I'm going to choose us every time. I've heard people say that line in real life. If it was the choice between my dogs or myself, I'm going to choose myself over the dogs anytime.
Mm-hmm.
That is, it makes,
Yeah, that's just one of those. Yeah, it's just one of those things that just it for me it's almost a point that it's hard to get past. and that's why I sort of try to dismiss that one segment of it. And outside of
Yeah.
that, and it's cool seeing in the credits. I know that it's just an outtake and how the dog was getting along with it, and I think that sort of lightened it up a little bit, and
Right.
all.
Right.
Seeing that
Something like that can kill a film. I mean, I'm sure we all know examples of films where, an
Blood
animal has
Freak.
died in it. Sorry?
Blood Freak.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's plenty where it just, it may have been a lighthearted tone, but all of a sudden it's like takes all the air out of the room, and it's like, oh shit. And what does that say about us as kind of a society that, people getting killed by zombie beavers is okay, at least from a viewing point of view, but as soon as you start harming an animal, it crosses the line. And, in this case, I was able to forgive it just because it was consistent enough with the tone. But I could see how people would find that very, very objectionable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, when you're saying that, then you got a whole series of an action movie, the John Wick movies now, that's all predicated on a guy avenging his dog's death.
Right.
So
Well,
it's like,
true. I have not
Yeah.
even seen the first John Wick. I saw John Wick 2 in the theater with my
Yeah.
friend Anna, but I've never seen the first
Okay.
John Wick. So I knew that there was a dog. I own the John Wick movie, and every time I'm about to put it in, I think about, oh shit, a dog dies in this movie. I don't know if I want to see that right now. I feel like I have to be in a mood or
Yeah.
be caught off guard. There's another movie that does that movie Fear with Mark Wahlberg and
absolutely, yeah.
Reese
I think we talked
Witherspoon.
about that briefly before. Yeah.
Yeah, on another episode, I'm sure. But there's that thing of the dog's head coming through the doggy door or whatever scene. I own it.
Trust me, I know all about it. I mean, even movies that just allude to animals dying. I'm thinking
Right.
of the dead cats in Gummo. That turned a lot of people off there, even though they were already dead when they were brought into it. But then you've got other movies where animals are actually being killed for the film, which of course you can't do that now. But
Blood
back in the 60s,
Freak and
back in the 60s and 70s, that sort of thing happened.
Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah.
I'll never watch that. I'll never watch that movie. 100% won't watch
And
it.
then, you go back into the big, first 30 or 40 years of Hollywood, they would have big, action pieces with cavalry and horses. You had no idea how many horses would be killed or get put down for stuff like that. I mean, it was a problem back then, and now it's the laws are very, very different, and they don't do that.
Well,
It's because people don't want to see animals get, suffer or die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I think it's in this movie specifically, what's kind of interesting too is that we're talking so seriously about that one sequence, but there's also another dog, but the alluded part, it just sort of disappears and nothing ever comes of it. It's replaced by the beaver sitting by the guy in the chair, and
Right.
it's like,
It's funny.
I mean, but there was nothing was ever shown, and it just sort of, and I guess that dog was really not so much a character. It just sort of just was there, not there. And the
Right.
other one actually became a character in the film. But one other thing we mentioned when we're going through the credits and stuff like that, I watched at the end, and it made that little comment about no animals were hurt in the making of this. But it says, but the bear did get a purple nurple. But it says, but he started it. And I was like, that's a nice little
And
jab
that was
at
a
the
nice
end.
little touch too, that the bear had become a Zombeaver bear too. I think that's hysterical. Zombeaver bear. How would you not want to see that movie?
Zombear. There's so many cool things that could come from this, just the ideas of wilderness animals that become zombies, But I also like the fact, and we talked about this earlier, but I like the fact that these zombeavers, whenever they actually bit you, they turned you into a zombie, just but you became a zombeaver, So you wonder how many zombeavers were once humans that became these zombeavers or whatever.
It's fun because the zombie thing has really been done to death, but every now and again something pops up where they do kind of fun things. There was a
Especially
movie.
comedies.
There was a movie during the 80s, and I my brain doesn't function anymore. I can't think of the name of it. It was with Joe Piscopo, of all people, and it was a one scene where, because they're dead and they're trying to come back from the dead. They're trying to not be dead anymore, and they go into a Chinese restaurant. And all the food comes back to life and attacks them. So all the chickens with no heads and everything that's cooked starts to come out and try to attack them. It was really fun.
I think I know which movie that is too. Was it something like Dead Heat or something?
Yeah, something like that. I forget the
Yeah,
name. It's been a while since
yeah,
I've seen it.
yeah.
Probably
Just
since the '80s.
yeah. It was like that was like a mid '80s. Yeah,
So
Oh
I
yeah.
like that. I like somebody who will do fun, new, and inventive things with the concept of zombies, and yet still do it within the laws that we're all kind of accepting, like the idea of fighting and still turning into it.
It was called Dead Heat. Yep.
Dead Heat.
And yeah, you're right. And that sounds amazing. I have not heard of this, but now I want to see it.
Oh, dude, you have to see it. It's like the best Joe Piscopo movie ever. Which, of course, I mean, there aren't very many good ones, but that was a
like
great one.
2 or 3 maybe.
Hey, my
Yeah.
favorite will always be Sidekicks. I'm sorry. Him and Chuck Norris fighting each other, just hilarious. Anyway, to go back to Zombeavers, this, I mean, all in all, I think this movie was perfect. What the fuck? Because it comes to the point where you just have no idea where it's gonna go at all. You know, in my opinion, like you didn't know like which way. You didn't know the main girl's gonna turn. You're like, what the fuck? Like throughout the whole thing, you're just probably like going, I don't, it's perfect. Like I said, this is way better than the drone, which could have been a What the Fuck Friday. And I think they wanted it to be like that originally. And it just somewhere got lost in the mix and it became way too,
Took itself too seriously.
This movie does not take itself seriously at all, which I
Right.
think is the fantastic way. I mean, including the hunter guy or whatever.
That's what I was
Smith.
getting ready to say. I was like, we got to talk about Rex Lynn. I mean, because he's been in like Cliffhanger and Wyatt Earp and all these movies throughout the years and stuff like that. And his character was just, and he was like, he's like, well, that's fucked up. And some of the comments and stuff that he crossed, and he made that comment about beavers and stuff like that, like just like a lot of them did. But and then he's just like, oh, you want some chicken? It was like just so casually, and it's just I really like seeing him do
Well,
comedic stuff.
I think one of the main strengths of this film is the fact that they went and they got a really, really good cast of actors. They were all really, really good. And it's not like you see in a lot of other kind of indie productions where, okay, yeah, they're not taken very seriously, so they're just kind of throwing whoever out there and they're not really caring about the performances. They're just kind of going on the novelty of the movie itself. These guys, even though it's a silly film, they took it seriously enough, and the director's able to impart that to the actors and say, "Hey, this may be a silly film, but we are, doing this for real, and we want this to be good." And all the performances were really, really good. Even the characters I didn't like, but the girls especially. It seemed like the girls had a really good chemistry, and I can't say enough about the three of them. They were really, really good.
Exactly.
And I saw in the pictures on IMDb, because I had seen the picture of the drawing where it had the beaver going up between the girl's legs and stuff like that, which was kind
It's
of
awesome.
funny. But I saw some other ones afterwards at the end, and it was like they took the poster for the movie American Hustle from a few years ago with Bradley Cooper, and they sort of mocked it up with a beaver head on top of a person in a suit, and it said "for your consideration," and it had all these type of things. So
Awesome.
it really fit the tone of what they were trying to do in this, I think.
Exactly.
And I don't know whether you guys thought about it, but that scene where the beaver's going up between her legs, I immediately thought Reanimator.
Exactly. So I really adored Smith. Rex Lynn, is that his name? He was so great. But the funniest bit, I think, in my opinion, was him like saying, telling that girl to cover up, telling Courtney Palm to cover up. And then later on, like he's in the car with him, was like truck with her, and he's like, "I thought I told you to cover up." like it's sort of like there was things that bookended things and still worked completely, like cracked me up. I adored this whole movie. And
then when he becomes the Zombeaver and he's still able to like fire his gun and do things like he would be a normal human, which was funny too.
Yeah. Or he walks into the in the outtake, he walked into the thing. It was I think he said like that. Well, that's fucked up, and like walks right back out. Like I don't know, just so many great moments in it. Honestly, even I mean, this is the first movie I've ever seen in a while that had outtakes that I think were just as funny as the
gnarly. That's gnarly. That's gnarly.
doing the gnarly. And then he said, what I think he said, canarly or something.
Gnarly. You can tell those guys had a lot of fun with this film.
Exactly.
And they nailed it, and they did it. I mean, very tight. It was only what, an hour and 15, hour and 17 minutes, something like that. So I mean, that's they got a lot done in this, but it never slowed down either. It was just a continuous.
Nope. And even the stuff like you guys were saying earlier with the character development and them kind of getting to know the characters, and kind of the fact that two of them, they're dealing with this idea of one of them cheating on the other, all this stuff happening, completely kind of kept my interest throughout it, period, because I'm like invested in these characters, at least the girls, the guys, right. As Paul was mentioning, a lot of them were douchebags or whatever. And that's kind of
one of them. Yeah, one of them seemed like he was, unless I missed something. I mean, maybe I haven't. One of them seemed like he was all right. He got one that got stuck under the tree.
Tommy, the guy who runs up and farts. That's the first thing you see of him.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess that's kind of bad there.
Well, I was comparing the douchebags in this film versus the douchebags in Grizzly Rage, because it always seems to be, college guys, they're just a bunch of, turd balls. And, I don't know why that's like a thing, but it is. Mm-hmm. The guys annoyed me more in this, and yet it didn't affect me as much as in Grizzly Rage. In Grizzly Rage, it drove me crazy.
Well,
yeah, I have Grizzly Rage. I have that queued up as one of a future watch, and because it got mentioned to me in the past, but I haven't seen that one yet. So.
Yeah, we watched it. Paul and I saw it with my friend Mackenzie on Indie Film Cafe.
Fever Rage.
It was fun. I mean, it was okay. It wasn't. Honestly, you're probably going to be bored by it after a little bit, but that had a bear just like this one did, and it was real. I wonder.
And it loves marshmallows.
I wonder if the one that I would love to know if they had if they gave that one marshmallows too. This one. Courtney Palm, if you're watching this, write back to me on Instagram.
Yes, we should. If we could get her on Indie Film Cafe Spotlight, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing. We'll see.
Continuity Monkey would definitely show for that.
Yeah, but yeah. So no, it was great. So I love this. All in all, this was a fun movie. And I think that anyone who's wanting to watch something that's sort of light, hearted in the what the fuck, like sometimes we pick stuff that's a little too what the fuck, but mine are typically like this. Paul's are a little bit more like,
Magic Lizard.
I was about to say Magic Lizard, which Joe had seen too. So or walked in on us. Poor guy.
Yeah, that fit the whole element of what the fuck. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I think all in all, I think this is like a perfect light what the fuck. It's not too out there. But it's fun.
But for horror people, it's got violence, it's got blood, it's got gore, it's got stuff there. You're not going to fall asleep on it.
Exactly. I agree. All right. Well, I guess that's it for this. This year's What the Fuck Friday. I'm sort of gonna miss it. Honestly, because it's always fun to find new movies for us to watch and cringe at.
It's okay. I'll be tormenting you, and Joe, if you come on for Indie Film Cafe, I'm sure I'll be tormenting you, and I'll definitely be tormenting Rebecca.
You'll have What the Fuck Fridays for sure. That will already just be Indie Film Cafe episodes. So we want to mention that as I said before, Indie Film Cafe will still be there. There'll be lots of podcasts still happening. There's still lots of video casts happening. None of this is really going away. It's just 3 shows are kind of taking a hiatus next year.
Cycling in new material.
And cycling in new stuff. So it's not like we're getting rid of everything or even taking a break. We don't take breaks here at Indie Film Cafe.
Unfortunately.
Well, fortunately, I like doing this. I live for this right now. But we'll have a Hollywood Boulevard podcast with Joe. Joe will be our third guy, so look for that in January. We just released our final episode of the season with Ford versus Ferrari today, so go check that out. Also, check out indiefilmcafe.podbean.com if you want to see our podcasts. Also, check out indiefilmcafe.reviews if you want to see everything else. Pretty much, we have pretty much links to everything we've done. Plus, Paul does his little reviews of everything. So,
and I got to update it. It's I've been a busy bovine lately, but I will definitely get that updated. And
exactly.
by the way, Joe, while you're here, one of the other shows that is going to be going on hiatus, we have one more episode to do, and that is Criterion Watch, and I'm looking for someone to watch a movie with.
That's very. You picked us some good ones for that. That's definitely a.
He picks good movies. Yeah, I'll
and I tell you guys, I love the weird, crazy shit, and I love the really, really good stuff. I just don't like the mooring in between.
Yeah. Well, and what you guys can actually shoot that in the studio now or something, you know.
Sure.
Now that things have kind of calmed down with COVID, so yeah. So there you go. I will be back in Virginia next month, which I'm really excited about. We've got a lot of we got the final episodes to kind of do for Indie Film Cafe and all the other stuff that we're wrapping up. So that's going to be fun. And Joe, I think you're joining us with Alfred for the final wrap-up video.
Yay, that's fun.
The final wrap-up video. Well, I think we are also doing Karate Kid, you and me. I don't know who's going to be joining us for that. It might just be you and me for Film Freaks. For Karate Kid. Paul's not a big Karate Kid fan. So,
not so much.
You know, it's too mainstream for him, I guess, or whatever, too Hollywoody. But there you go.
Now, if there were Karate Kid zombie beavers in it, sign me up.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, that's an interesting
crossover. Well, you guys join me at the end to chat real quick, and then and thank you guys, everybody, for checking this out. I love you guys. We will be back for What the Fuck Friday probably in 2022. I really hope, because I want to bring some new shit back. You know, get some stuff started, but we'll see. I mean, who knows what the universe holds for us. So also join us in January for Sick Flick TV launching, and you'll see some of these episodes up there as well on there. So
and we've got plenty more of different other kind of movies to show you, so we're not going anywhere.
Nope. We're only getting stronger.
And Courtney Palm, call the monkey.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.